For literal decades, Disney was the gold standard of themed entertainment. The fact that it's even being called into question now was previously unthinkable. So to quote the late, great Fred Willard, what happened? What's up? It's Kev Cage. Good seeing you. Recently, a lot of people online, and presumably and far less importantly, at least a few people in real life, have been taking issue with the Walt Disney Company, particularly with the effort they've been putting into their parks.
It's a complicated subject with a whole lot of stupid reasons, too.
But I want you to keep watching this, so I'm going to give you a quickish overview. Please enjoy this approximately 3-minute recap, accompanied by photos I pulled from Wikipedia and some site called Pexels.com. I sure hope they're reputable.
I'm hereby acknowledging this is not the complete historic account. For the purposes of this video, it's just the gist, for context's sake. Back in the olden days, Disney used to mean two things: movies and theme parks. I'm simplifying it, of course. I mean, they had a Disney store in virtually every mall in the country. They had a magazine, they had a cable channel. But the core of the company, the thing that made all those other things possible, was movies and theme parks.
Then, like any other massive, publicly traded company, things being really good wasn't good enough.
The company needed to make more money, do more stuff. In 2005, new CEO Bob Iger took over, and boy howdy did he make some big moves. He spent over $15 billion with a B dollars on reacquiring Pixar and buying Marvel and Lucasfilm. More characters, more movies, more stories. Sure, Bob, you're doing great. In 2012, Bob becomes chairman based on the last 7 years of success. But shareholders want more. They want literal, endless growth.
The parks were reliably making money, the Marvel movies were crushing. What else was there to do?
In Bob's view, Disney had to become so much more than theme parks and movies. It needed to be more like Apple. It needed to be like a tech company. The idea of Disney being a tech company is laughable for a million reasons, but that's another story for another day. Ultimately, this meant venturing into the world of streaming with Disney Plus, acquiring Fox, and a bunch of other stuff like that. And this moment in time is when things started to feel a little off. The parks were reliable cash cows, so the focus shifted from investing money in them to investing money in everything else. And when the company at large still wasn't profitable, because in spite of the new investments, those other lines of business were failing, the prospect of getting cash back to invest in the parks got bleaker and bleaker. Budgets were getting cut on new projects, and the ones that went through were taking forever to complete. But hey, as long as the parks were making money, who needed anything new, right? What's the return on that investment?
Well, the truth of the matter is that the parks were making money because of rising prices and additional services like the insidious Genie Plus that created a revenue stream out of thin air.
Attendance was down, but the money was coming in. No problem. Of course, the problem is that the park experience started to suffer. If you're not a shareholder, if you're just a regular dope like me who enjoys going to theme parks, you don't care about any of that tech company nonsense. You just want the parks to be good. And they can be good. There's still varying degrees of fun, but that's because of what was already built. So what about the new stuff? Is that good? Is it still amazing, world-class creative and immersive experiences that were an untouchable industry standard basically for as long as these parks have been around? No. Exhibit 1, Avengers Campus. I first heard about Avengers Campus in 2019. There may have been buzz about it prior to that, but I didn't live here yet, so I wasn't closely following it. It was going to take the place of a Bug's Land, and while I thoroughly enjoyed Heimlich's Choo Choo, give me a second to pour one out for my homie Heimlich.
Animal crackers! Oh, I love animal crackers! It smells so yummy in here!
I was excited for this new Avengers Campus. There was hope because this was still the before times. The Star Wars land, Galaxy's Edge, was about a year away from opening, and we weren't really fully aware of the cost-cutting poo storm that was on the horizon. There was no reason to doubt that Disney was going to deliver another amazing, top-notch experience. But then Galaxy's Edge opened, and while it looked incredible, again, something felt off. It opened before its signature ride was ready. Its main activities, like building a droid or a lightsaber, were prohibitively expensive, even by Disney standards. There weren't a lot of weirdos or aliens walking around like you'd expect in a Star Wars land. The Millennium Falcon looked cool as heck, but the land as a whole felt kind of, I don't know, flat? And yes, eventually they opened up the signature ride to rave reviews from everyone except me. I know, I'm in the vast minority, but we can talk about that another day. Avengers Campus was supposed to open in March of 2020, and it obviously did not. It was a year later before it finally welcomed guests, and like Galaxy's Edge before it, it did so without its signature attraction being ready, despite the ride building being the header photo in the official press release. Avengers Campus was, at first glance, underwhelming, disappointing, kind of like a, huh? And now, 3 years later, it's somehow worse.
There are 3 points of egress and ingress into Avengers Campus, and technically this is one of them. I hate that I have opinions on the imaginary boundaries of lands of theme parks, let alone a strong opinion, but this doesn't count. This ride was made in the before times when things were still good, and it opened several years before Avengers Campus officially opened. If you think I'm just being a hater by not including something that's technically officially part of the land, let me say it like this. I don't count It's Tough to Be a Bug as part of A Bug's Land, the land that Avengers Campus replaced. That was also built prior to the land officially opening. It was kind of on the outskirts, so it's apples to apples, okay? Again, I assure you, it's not lost on me how embarrassing it is to have an opinion on this. On my count, A Bug's Land had 4 rides and like a little splash pad for kids. They were kiddie rides, but there was 4 things to do. So let's see what replaced it. First off, on my unofficial start of Avengers Campus, we have Pim's Test Kitchen. And beside it, Pim's Tasting Lab. It says Pim right on the side. I don't know why I'm making it a possessive. I did that with Toothsome too. What's wrong with me? Pim's Tasting Lab is a bar, so I guess that's an upgrade. They offer mobile order, and I wasn't sure if you can get a beer at 8 a.m., but looks like you can. They have some pretty interesting cocktails. They have these Christmas lights around the thing that everything is supposed to look bigger because you're small like Ant-Man, I don't know. And it looks like they've just recently added bar stools, something they didn't have before. So you can actually sit there like a real bar. Beside the tasting lab is the test kitchen, which is a typical quick service restaurant. It too has this giant phone outside because again, you're small and things are big. It's actually a pretty nice detail. Every once in a while you get a text from somebody like Iron Man. I give them credit for that. They have this little effect type thing up top where they take small pretzels and put them through the conveyor belt and they come out big, and sure, that's a nice touch. Look, really big ketchup and mustard. Ultimately, it's a pretty okay quick service restaurant. As we move towards the second point of ingress, this is where things start to feel not so great. We have this spot that has nothing. I think there used to be a Jeep here or something at one point, but now just floor. This is a little photo op area. Sometimes you'll see characters here, but it's early in the morning. Nobody here right now. Some nicely themed water fountains, I guess. And then you have this area, home of the soon-to-be-canceled Doctor Strange show. When this area opened, they didn't really have a lot of rides. They had 1, and I guess 2 if you're going to count the Guardians of the Galaxy thing, which I don't. But they did have a bunch of shows, 4 to be exact. Now, after June 30th, shows. This area is kind of neatly designed, but ultimately there's nothing really to do. You could look at that cube, and then there's this cool effect where if you stand there, it looks like you're falling into the thing. I'm by myself, so I can't really do it, but you get the idea. In any case, it's a whole space that was dedicated just to this Doctor Strange thing, which they're canceling now. So, one less thing to do. We're heading past some tables. They made a new shawarma truck, which is neat. They have the bathroom section over there, and the land's only new ride, Spider-Man Web Slingers. The ride itself is fine. It's for kids. You get to pretend you're Spider-Man and fling your arms like this to shoot webs, and, if you're 10, it's amazing. If you're above that, it's okay. They made these little add-ons for the Spider-Man ride that you could increase your score. Again, a decision made by people who don't actually do these rides for real. They say, hey, everybody on Toy Story Mania and Buzz Lightyear and all that stuff loves to see how high of a score that they can get. What if we sold something that can make you get an even higher score? People will love that. And of course, they did not. Past the ride and around the corner, we have the second show, a Spider-Man demonstration, I guess, that combines a real Spider-Man and a fake one that they launch into a wall. It happens over here, and maybe we'll check it out later. It's actually a pretty neat effect. It's not the best viewing area. It's a very narrow space, so when people stop to watch it, it makes getting in and out kind of tricky. But they do launch a Spider-Man, and who doesn't love launching something into the air? It's just occurring to me that this is another show that takes place on a roof.
Welcome to Avengers Campus. Hey, what's going on, guys? Oh, me? Ah, you know, just spider stuff. Field testing, here I come. Clear the runway. Spider-Man is cleared for takeoff. Wow!
Super high, Spider-Man!
Show number 3 is the Warriors of Wakanda demonstration, which happens over here sometimes. That has recently been cut back by 20%, which is a bummer, not just for the people who play the roles who are absolutely amazing, but for people who are here and are looking for something to do. Oh, sweet. Today is the day they're here.
On behalf of the Kingdom of Wakanda, I am Okoye, General of the Torimilashi, here with a assignment from the Black Panther to personally train all of your recruits to become warrior allies of Wakanda, who will come forth and show their courage. Come here, you.
That was fun. Don't you wish there was like 20% more of that? There's a meet and greet with the man himself that you get over in this area. Entrance and exit number 3. There's another photo op that you can have over here by the Avengers Campus sign. That's fun. And yeah, it's a big space. And speaking of big empty spaces, that brings us to our final point of Avengers Campus. The final show, Avengers Assemble, which takes place on this building. They come out and fight each other up on top there. You may be thinking to yourself, that's a strange use for a giant building, just to have one kind of show where you see people hanging out and doing stuff, fighting each other. It's kind of far away. Well, you'd be correct, because that's not what this building was in fact for. Behold, the Quinjet ride, the e-ticket attraction for the brand new land that actually never came to be. The Quinjet Maintenance Bay. Well, no need for anybody to get in there, because not only did this ride not open when the Avengers Land opened, it never opened at all. It doesn't seem like it's ever going to open. So now we have this massive show building with the only thing inside of it, a gift shop, of course, that they added later. Here it sits in the shadow of the far superior, because it's actually, well, open, Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout ride. How sad a sight this is. It's a constant reminder of the effort that used to be put into things, overshadowing the empty shelf of nothing. Last year, they went as far as to release a concept art of what the ride vehicle is supposed to look like, with no other details on this thing. I don't know. Maybe they're all doing the work behind the scenes and we can't see it. Maybe they're going to shock everybody at this year's upcoming D23 with a huge announcement that all the work has actually been taking place inside, out of sight to the regular guest. But of course that's not going to happen. It's just another thing that they wanted to save money on and decided, you know what, we don't really need. This land is fine as it is now. And for a land that was already lacking stuff to do, not opening its signature e-ticket attraction, and then worse, cutting back the entertainment, arguably the only thing that there was actually to do here. Oh man, what a mess. This is the main promenade on a weekend in July, in the summer, and it's just dead. It's me making a dumb video with all the space in the world, drinking a beer and enjoying it. I can do a cartwheel if I wanted. There are sporadic meet and greets all around, but for an area that's supposed to be the campus, where all the Avengers come to hang out, there's just nothing. It lacks energy. It lacks stuff to do. So if you're keeping track at home, that's one new ride, one ride that never opened and presumably never will, a bar, a quick service restaurant, a show that takes place on the roof of the ride that was supposed to open, a show that got cut by 20%, a show that got canceled entirely, and a show where they fling Spider-Man to the side of a building. Does that make a great land?
So why is this indefensible? These are not decisions that are made by a company that is prioritizing the guest experience. In years past, you would never, ever step into a Disney attraction and think cost cutting in any capacity. That's what made it special. That's how you rationalized the high cost. It was a premium experience you couldn't get anywhere else. Avengers Campus is definitively not an experience you could get only from Disney. It feels average and sad. It feels like a series of decisions made by people who are not park goers, and worse, ones who not only can't relate to the park going experience, but who have an active distaste for their core audience. They think you'll keep coming back because they don't respect you and think you'll never notice. I'm not sure how anyone could look at these cutbacks and lack of development in an existing land and think, the new Disneyland Forward announcements are gonna be great. Personally, I don't think they've done anything in the last 5 years or so that would give me any expectation of a world-class experience. Chairman of Disney Experiences Josh D'Amaro said in 2022, "Characters and their stories are part of what makes our park experiences so special. Since we opened Avengers Campus, we introduced Iron Man, Black Widow, Thor, Black Panther, Captain America, Scarlet Witch, Shang-Chi, Loki, and Mighty Thor. We've got Spider-Man swinging overhead, we've got the Dora Milaje showing us the way of the Wakanda warriors, and we've got Doctor Strange teaching us about the mystic arts. But we are just getting started." Just getting started, indeed.
Thanks for watching. I'd say if you disagree with me, leave a comment down below, but the whole point of this is that it's indefensible, so I guess you have to agree. As always, if you're lucky enough to be even in a lackluster Avengers Campus, you're lucky enough. See you next time.